but I want to know your thoughts. By all accounts, all signs pointing we're actually going to see starters play on Saturday.
Yeah.
I will say this, two things. One, about time, but the second of all, this is what Dave Canales said he was going to do, basically.
Yeah. Last week I kind of thought that he was leaning towards doing that same thing, but the injuries clearly is something that they were worried about, but also it looks like they didn't want to put Bryce Young out there without his full complement.
Yeah.
And they want to see what all of the number ones look like together, get that full operation down together, what that pregame would look like, what it'll look like between a series, before the next series, and all that. So it'll be cool to actually see what happens and see what type of improvements we can see. It's not a lot we're going to get from a couple series in a preseason game, but we'll at least have something to see if that pocket can hold up.
And I think we'll also see the starting defense as well. Jordan Fuller, one of their starting safeties, a guy they signed in free agency this offseason, was asked about playing Saturday, and he used the term dress rehearsal, like getting out there and actually playing. And it's 2 weeks before the first game.
Yeah.
And there have a lot of 1 o'clock kicks this season. Yeah. So you know what? Go through your routine of getting ready for a 1 o'clock kickoff.
I mean, a lot of white jersey games too, so they're going to be in the same routine.
Exactly. So you know
the whole
what?
Season.
Get into it. Go ahead and get into that routine and all those things. I don't know how much we're going to learn on Saturday. I really don't know, but I know it's at least going to give us a taste of what we think the offense is going to look like.
Yeah.
We already know what the defense is going to be. Same defensive coaching staff, same scheme. Yeah, there's some new pieces, but offensively, I think that's what's the most curious. It's like, all right, head coach with Bryce Young, let's see something, right? We got to see a little something.
I think the main thing that we want to see is what I just said before. Like, you want to see if that pocket can hold up. We've got a new interior defensive line. They call themselves mean, tough, and nasty with Damian Lewis and Austin Corbett and Robert Hunt. But then yesterday, Ikem Ekwonu added on to that and said he wants to add on another word. He wants to be dominant.
Yeah.
And he admitted he took his eye off the ball last year because of his success that he felt like he had at the end of 2022. And now he's ready to prove himself. And then after that, is Bryce Young going to have his wide receivers get open and catch for him? Yeah. You know, we noticed some of the things that happened last year, guys dropping passes, not getting open, and then also just him not having time. Those are just the main things I want to see. But I am excited to see the defense, though. I feel like the defensive line and the front seven in general is probably going to be a little bit nastier than what it was last year.
I'm excited to see A'Shawn Robinson and Derek Brown.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You were talking about, like, home wreckers.
Listen,
like
I was thinking about this yesterday, all right? Back in the day, I recorded a rap album, actually a couple rap albums, but I only put one out.
Okay,
right?
all right.
And
deep cuts.
I'll let you hear some of it.
Yeah, I think I've heard it before.
And I was thinking if I ever went out on tour and I needed bodyguards, I want them to look like A'Shawn Robinson and Derek Brown. Those are the guys that I want.
Yes.
And so, like, literally, they are there, like, to wreck shop. And I'll put Robert Hunt in there, too, but he's not a defensive lineman. But, like, they look intimidating. They look scary. They're there to wreck shop. And I really do think – I think that the Panthers will be a little bit better in that sack category this year just because they have some hosses up front, especially if they can stay healthy.
I think as well it's going to help a guy like Shai Tuttle when you have like Robinson because he's going to alleviate some of the pressure off Tuttle as well. And we've actually seen him make some plays in practice. And then it's only –
You got a Pro Bowler over to your left and Derek Brown.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's just only going to free things up for Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson or Trevin Wallace when he's in there, if he's spelling either one of those two guys.
And that's one of the things that one of the knocks against Jadeveon Clowney is people say that he doesn't really have stats, but he's typically used as a guy to eat up blocks on the opposite end of whoever he's playing with so that person can go get it. So, like, if you have that person next to Derek Brown and Shai Tuttle and A'Shawn Robinson, then if DJ Wanham can get back, he's going to have nothing but one-on-ones, and hopefully he can, really eat this season and get to the quarterback.
That's Chris Lee, WRAL TV. Joining me, Dennis Cox here in studio, Dennis City, and for Adam Gold is my co-host on the Panthers Playbook podcast. Check it out. New episode dropped this morning. Speaking of guys like Wanham or Yash Nyman or some of these other guys, opposite of Clowney, major question mark. Major question mark because Wanham's still working his way back from injury. You don't know when he's going to be back. Yeah. And then there's Caleb Von Chason, who I've seen him on the field. DJ Johnson,
that's a good way to put it.
I've seen him on the field.
That's a good way to put it.
Leota in that first preseason game popped and showed, but question mark. It's a major concern.
I think there's a really big opportunity here for somebody to step up. And, if somebody really wants it, if DJ Johnson wants to live up to the hype, this team reached for you last year in the draft. And maybe they shouldn't have because you're a project. Are you going to step up Leota? Are you going to step up to put your spot, stamp your spot on this particular roster? Or we talked about this. Can the Panthers or will the Panthers find somebody at that waiver wire?
Mm-hmm.
But the hard part about that is teams just need edge rushers. And will you find just a good edge rusher out there on the waiver wire? Oh, man, I have so many edge rushers, I just can't keep them on my roster. That's very rare.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just go to the supermarket and buy and do boxes of cereal. They're just out there.
That's rare.
It's very rare because they're such a high-priced commodity. There's a reason why those guys get paid so much.
Yeah, is
because they're so valuable, so teams aren't just going to freely let them go. Now, teams draft corners and safeties and stuff all the time, hoping to find diamonds in the rough. I could see maybe the team claiming not only possibly an edge rusher, possibly a corner, one offensive lineman maybe. I would not shock me, Chris, you and I talked about this on our Paycast, a wide receiver, that there might be 4, 5, 6 guys that are going to be on the 53-man roster that currently aren't in a Panther uniform.
Very much so possible.
It's that, and they have the first waiver claim. I think this team is far, far from being complete.
I think, but they're in a lot better place than what they were last year.
It feels that way.
Because
feels that way.
A lot of what you're doing with the waiver wire this year is kind of filling in the holes that you feel like that you don't already have on your roster. And one of the main things that me and you have been saying on Panthers Playbook, on defense, we pretty much feel comfortable with mostly everybody having a solid number 2 replacement if they were to go down.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part, right? We don't feel that way for edge rusher.
No.
On offense, we don't feel that way for anybody on there. I mean, I think the running back room is solid, and it'll get better once Jonathan Brooks is available and off PUP. But we don't all the way feel comfortable if they hold 6 wide receivers that 1 through 6 can really come in and produce for you. We don't feel comfortable with all of the backup offensive linemen. So there are opportunities to get better and fill in holes, and I think it's smart for the Panthers to explore that, especially early on the season, because you're going to get your schedule's going to get harder towards the end of the year, and you're going to want those guys to get those reps and get comfortable by the time you get to October and November.
Yeah, on the offensive line, after the 5 starters and then Brady Christensen, it falls off.
Well, Josh Nijman,
currently available.
So he's not available, but yes, he should be pretty good.
Which, by the way, he's practiced today.
Yeah,
just a helmet. The team was just in helmets today, but he was out there in the field. First time we've actually saw him out there on the field
and a helmet. We have to give a shout out to NC State alum Chandler Zavala. He's been getting a lot a lot lately.
He has.
And he has.
In
the preseason game against the Patriots, had a pretty good PFF, Pro Football Focus, grade for that. And his teammates have been talking about how he's really improved. So we'll have to see. So maybe it is a little bit better than what we think, but still, if you can get better, let's get better.
Let's get better. And then the only proven receivers that we know of that are going to be on the team are Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
That's it. We haven't seen Xavier Legette. That's the thing. He's still a big unknown.
But listen, though, if he's catching big-time passes against J.C. Horn in practice.
Well, I mean, practice is one thing.
It is. Practice is one thing.
But you got to be out there in the field. You got to be out there on the field.
He's shown some flashes, bro.
He has.
And so
let's see it.
We have to see it. You're absolutely correct. I feel like we will, though.
I'm hoping.
I feel like we will.
I hope we see him on Saturday. And is Mingo, from the flashes that we've seen so far this preseason, has he elevated? Does Terrace Marshall Jr. make the team?
Yeah, I think those 5 for sure. Thielen, Johnson, Legette, Terrace Marshall Jr., and Jonathan Mingo for sure. I'm of the belief they'll probably have 6. So who that 6 will be, it's up in the air right now, honestly. And that could be a waiver wire guy. It could be Amir Smith-Marset. It could be David Moore.
Yeah.
But either way, the last 2 that I named are very much so replaceable on your roster.
Oh,
very
you went
much
2
so
and 15
replaceable.
last season. Most of your roster's replaceable. Let's call it what it is. Now, here's the thing: we're speaking praise, but Chris, I think you and I are on the same page. I still think it's like a 6-win team. I still think this is a 6-win team, but a much more competitive team than what we saw last season. I still think it's a 6-win team.
We have to go through the roster. Go through the schedule and do maybe that season projection on one of our Panthers Playbook episodes. I was kind of looking at the first 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of wondering if it'll be more than 6. And I'm trying not to overthink this at all.
Okay.
Trying not to overthink it. But at Saints is winnable.
Oh, absolutely.
Home versus the Chargers, who really depleted their offense and,